that people who are trolls online have something called the dark tetrad.
That's really interesting that research would suggest that it's the dark tetrad that makes up these trolls. I presumed that trolls were simply covert narcissistic males that simply don't have supply, meaning that they're people that are of social irrelevance, people that, don't have the capacity to get supply in more conventional means. And so turning online for attention, for trying to upset, dysregulate other people, cause mischief, hurt feelings. The problem for me with trolls is that trolls have gotten so much social attention that it seems like they've altered our culture, where the thoughts of the trolls collectively, become a public relations concern, because I think that trolls are so abundant and profoundly represented in all their social networking platforms that the social networking companies don't do enough to get rid of them, because they represent a strong advertising audience. And so places like TikTok seem to favor trolls, where anybody can create, any kind of profile and go trolling people with no consequence, because those accounts don't have any value to them. Like, you don't have followers, and so if they report you in mass, or they can get your videos or your account banned, they don't lose anything by, going out and harassing people. And so the way that I look at it is that even here on TikTok, where a lot of people can lose their account, or it's very, very trigger sensitive, the AI, when you live stream, and that if you say things that some people don't like, particularly trolls, they're, they can come after people, and they're mischievous, they're dark, they're really, really, it's a fascinating thing to observe people whose intellectual development is limited to the expression of invalidation and, dark comedic observations and harassment and bullying and entitled, nonsensical rhetoric, that trolls, they just say things to needle people, and they get way too much engagement, meaning, you see people responding to trolls as if that's a man or something, and it's like we're actually using trolls to, be surrogates for our own projection across gender boundaries. We're like, you see women often responding to these trolling, males, as if that's the atmosphere of men in general. And, it's unfortunate that we've actually platformed them to where, they're like running Twitter, and that now you have all these people empowering trolls by, a lot of different, victim movements, or, example would be someone that, creates an organization that could be, say, fighting and anti-Semitism, right? Well, it could have a very valid basis in history, but what are they doing? Well, they strip through celebrity Twitter profiles to find something 12 years old and then publish it and then shame that person. And then the trolls all rally behind this thing. And now you see public relations on behalf of celebrities and other people having to take on a level of totally disingenuous, inauthentic apologies, and having to go and do sensitivity training. And you have so many people claiming victimhood online, meaning like, who really is getting hurt by Twitter, right? Like, you don't want to see people saying homophobic or racist or bigoted things, right? But, in this atmosphere of canceling and tar and feathering, it's influenced by the culture of trolling. That the advertisers and the people are just paying attention to the overall cumulative reactions. Because, again, the trolls are people that buy things. The trolls seem to have a lot of power, because when you see people having to apologize, where it's not enough that they take responsibility and ownership for their mistakes, but they have to project a level of shame and guilt and regret and effusively apologize to everybody they hurt, and they had to operate as if they had some revelation or transformation in order to try to, get the trolls to, step back. And it's absurd, because it's not true. Like Kevin Hart or somebody, a comedian, apologizing for something they said. We ought to afford people the opportunity to account for, hey, you know what? I was triggered. I said something very bad. I said something, I understand how it could be racist. I understand how it could be misogynistic. I totally get it. But we literally refuse to allow people to offer a genuine, heartfelt, responsible apology and then move on from it. That we now have a culture where we reserve the right to hold on to, harbor hate and invalidation, and demean and damage the character of someone based on something they may have said. When, if everybody was to have every text message and statement they've ever made from childhood to adulthood analyzed to see if it has elements of bigotry, racism, misogyny, pretty much everybody would be screwed, because we're just human beings and we're so emotional that there are going to be so many things that you said in your life that you wish you could take back. And many people develop profoundly over a period of time, and many people learn from their mistakes, and many people have the empathy to understand the implications of the things that they've said and would amply take responsibility and wish they could take some of those statements back, of course. But we live in a society now where we don't even want to accept people's genuine apologies. We live in a culture where we seem to reward trolling and being a Karen with gift cards and apologies, and people having to go to sensitivity trainings and things that are really nonsensical, that really, I don't even think would be a genuine, modality for really bridging the divide of understanding. That, it's almost as if we're suspending our capacity for understanding, empathy, and progress by needing to demonize people. That if you need to demonize people and you need to invalidate, humiliate, shame them, then all you're trying to do is suppress the way that they actually think without building the bridge of empathy to allow the types of communication that would be constructive. That the most important thing for our healing collectively would be forgiveness, would be to understand the world of one another, understand our collective history and implications of that, simply be able to account for it, be able to understand, the implications of it, and find common ground through the universal nature of the human experience. That, in a way, the trolling has festered to a point where it seems to be propagating social divisions, and even in a way, you're finding it becoming a part of political movements or part of victim identity groups that may have a valid historical precedence for the messages, while at the same time conducting themselves by trolling and shaming people, by claiming broad, victimhood on the basis of race. And the interesting thing is that when you see these victim movements and the kind of things that they project as stereotypes towards the oppressor groups, would be the same types of generalizations, stereotypes, and notions that broad stroke every white person or man or woman or minority or whoever in the same types of limited empathy, limited thinking, that is actually at the very source of the types of oppression that we are attempting to deal with. And so we can't deal with it by just reversing the process and tar and feathering and shaming people because of views that are, not good. It just doesn't work that way. And so it's very ineffective, and trolling has seemingly left a profound mark on our culture. that isn't yet to be fully accounted for.